Hello, it's CraftyMama, and today I have a project share. I'm going to be using my Sizzix Originals Build a Lilac flower die. Now, I've had this quite a while, but never really used it. So today is the day for me to try to build this flower that I've been wanting to do. So I will show you the die here, and because it's kind of dark, I'll show you. That's where the leaf is. There's just one leaf on that side, and then on this side are the flower petals. There's like 4 of them. Now, the cardstock I'll be using today is 2 different shades of purple, lighter shades, and then a deeper shade. I know it probably might not come across on the camera, but the 2 lighter shades are actually different shades of purple than the deep purple, and of course, the green to make the leaves. Now, I have gone ahead already and made a bunch of flower petals in the 3 shades of purple cardstock, and of course, I did make the leaves in the green. I also have my little tool that has a ball-shaped end on one end and a sharp slanted tip on the other. It's to help shape the leaves and the flower petals if I want. I have a pair of tweezers. I have some toothpicks and my trusty tacky glue, of course. I also have a very hard piece of cardstock on the bottom, and on top of that is a piece of foam that's about a 1/2 inch thick. This makes it easier to shape the flowers the way I want and the leaves. I also have a bit of foam, which is actually a makeup sponge. I buy these at the Dollar Tree, and I use them for a lot of crafts. I will also be using 3 shades of Stampin' Up! Ink pads, which is Orchid Opulence, the second of which is called Rich Razzleberry, and lastly, a lighter shade of purple called Pale Plum. So those are the 3 ink pads that I will be using also. And as you see, I'm going to take the ink pads and I'm going to give a little distressed edge to my flower petals. I like doing this. Give it a little oomph and a little detail. So I'm going to go and do this to all my flower petals just around the edge, and I will show you like the first one. Hopefully it'll come across on the camera. Just inking up the edges to just give it a little extra detail, of course. And that's what I'm going to continue to do with the different shades of ink to all my flower petals. And I will be back after I'm done doing that to show you what they look like. So here are a couple of the flower petals that I did, and here's the ink, the different shades, so you can see them up close. Left to right, Orchid Opulence, Pale Plum, and then the Rich Razzleberry, so you can see the difference in colors on those. And now that I have all my flower edges done, I'm going to do my leaves in Stampin' Up! Forest Foliage, and that'll give that a little extra detail. And as you can see, the flowers look really great with the detail. Now I'm going to use the ball point of my tool, and I'm going to go right near the center where the hole is on the flower and go down the center of the petal, and it's going to cup the petal, give it a little more definition and a really nice look. And I'm going to do that until I get a little bit, it makes them lift up a little bit. And I'm going to do this to every single one of my flower petals because it just makes a really nice look to work with, and again gives it a little more detail and definition. So I'm going to continue to do this, and I will show you what it looks like, the difference, so you see what I mean. And again, I'm just going really easy from the center hole up the center of the flower petal, and then sort of just rubbing it a little. You can kind of tell, and on the foam especially, it really helps. You can kind of see it coming up as you're doing it. And maybe I can give you a close-up of what the 2 look like together, one that's not done and one that is done. So you kind of see how it lifts up the flower, gives it a little more definition and detail, and it lifts it up, so it makes it look 3D-ish. So I'm about to start creating the card. I have a piece of white cardstock. I'm making an A2 size card, and since this will be my first and only layer on this particular card, I've cut this to 5 1/4 high by 4 inches wide. And now, as you see, the leaves, when you cut them and you put them at opposite angles, they kind of lock in at that midpoint section where you can see I have one turned to the right, one to the left. That shows it on the box. And so those go together nicely. And now, being my first time, I'm just trying to decide where to put these, layer them correctly, not overlayer or underlayer, and get the different colors in there. I absolutely love working with flowers. Lilacs are one of my most favorite flowers. We used to have a couple of lilac bushes when I was growing up. Always had fresh lilacs. And in case you were wondering, when I cut the cardstock to use with my die to cut the petals and the leaves out, I used 5¼ by 3 inches for the petals because they were on the right side, and then the leaves were just on the left side. So I used 5¼ by 2 inch, and that's how I cut them out using my Sizzix die. And thanks to the magic of fast forward, I am just about done here. So now, let me show you the completed card. Here it is. Ta-da! What I did was I used a pale lilac background. Then I had the white background paper that I put the flower on, distressed the edges, and kind of left it white around the whole flower, but just kind of pressed the ink around it. And of course I put faux pearls in the center, and as you can see, the leaves have detail also. Now inside this card is blank, but I do have a little embellishment piece I'm going to show you. And this came from something I made that I'll show you in a few minutes. But this embellishment piece can go inside, and I can write like something on it, either stamp on it, or I can write my own message and glue it inside. I just don't know what the card's going to be for yet. Here's the second card I made. And again, I did all over the layer. I sponged all over instead of leaving the white around the flower. I sponged some of the petals so they were different colors of purple. I left the leaves as is, of course, distressed the edges. And then in the center of the flowers is actually acrylic paint, white acrylic paint. Then in here I made my hidden peekaboo pocket, which you can put a little card or gift card or whatever. I call it my peekaboo pocket because you can see a little bit what's inside. And like I said, if you see the middles of these flowers, it's acrylic paint. And here's a little tip. Here's what I did. I had an eyedropper bottle. The top comes off easy. Once you unscrew the main top, the other part comes off easy. You just use a butter knife to pry it off. And I poured the acrylic paint in here so I could dab in the center of the flowers. How cool is that? It worked like a charm. And I was just having so much fun, I made this third card. And what I did was I used my sponge and all 3 of the purple colors of ink that I had, Stampin' Up! Ink, and I did the colors one at a time, one on top of each other to create the border around the outside. Then I just had some small strips of purple color paper that I put the flowers on top of to make a little flower garden, and on the bottom is my Sizzix grass die that I used to make the grass. On the inside, I decided to put this little flower embellishment. It was just an extra strip of paper I had, and then here I put the light purple cardstock and then some photo corners in the edges, and I thought it came out so super cute. I also made a little pocket, a flower pocket. I used my Sizzix pocket die, and I created this pocket and put the flowers on it, and then I made little flowers that stick in the pocket, and they do come out also. And lastly, I made a 4x6 frame using my We Are Memory Keepers frame punch board, which I absolutely love. I did this on light purple cardstock paper, and then I sponged on the inside of the frame, and then I distressed the inner and outer edges. I distressed the flowers, put the paint dots in the middle, and gave it like a Swiss dot look, and I thought it came out rather cute. Now, the We Are Memory Keepers frame punch board not only made this frame shape for me, and I can make many shapes of frames, it also made the photo corners that were on this card that I used. And it also made this embellishment, as I'm going to show you. It came from the center of it. The photo corners are what came out of the little pieces around that. So it's like a 3-for-1 deal. You can also make photo mats with it. Well, I had a lot of fun creating all my projects, my cards, my photo frame, my little pocket. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, be happy and keep on crafting. Bye-bye.